welcome back to Vinyl Friday, where I go through my records like a big nerd and talk about why I love them. Quite often on this channel, you will find me talking about a folk rock record that is a favorite of mine. But as it is now officially New Zealand Music Month, today's folk rock album that is a favorite of mine will be coming from little old Aotearoa. Woohoo! This is an album that I think is comparable in quality to, like, America.
Living on the riverside, taking it all in my stride.
Bread.
Find another place to play.
Cat Stevens.
And everything emptying into one.
Buckingham Nicks. But it's pretty much unheard of overseas. And although it enjoyed some successful sales numbers when it was released, I've met maybe 2 people who have heard of this band. So today I'm going to be telling a hopefully enthralling tale of early success, and dreams dashed, and redemption, and then give their eponymous debut a quick going over. Have a listen so that you can see how gorgeous it is. And with any luck, you will fall in love. This episode was also a really special one to do because I normally get into some backstory for a band for these episodes, but in the case of today's band, they bought their instruments from stores that I frequent, and they recorded at studios that I've worked with or at, and they've chatted with journalists who have interviewed my band. New Zealand's a very small country, so you're always about 2 degrees of separation from anyone. For instance, I have a colleague who was a good friend of one of the siblings of the band members. They lived around the corner from my dad when he was at university. My point is that despite my best efforts, it's remained at 2 degrees. I've never actually crossed paths with any of them IRL. So Graham, if you're watching this, if you're out there and you somehow managed to come across this video, hit me up. I would love to chat music with you, or make music with you, or what have you. I first heard about today's band because my band released our debut album in 2017.
Share with me what you'd rather forget.
It was reviewed by an Auckland magazine, the music critic, whoever he was, can't remember, I'm so sorry, compared our album favorably, thank God, to this 1975 release from this band. So I gave it a listen and fell in love with it. The name of the band is Waves. The name of the album is Waves. Let's get started. I'm so excited to share this band with you all. Here's their story. Once upon a time, a band named Rosewood broke up. The band had been comprised of art and design students Kevin Wildman and Graham Gash, who will hereafter be referred to as Gigi. I hope that's okay. Graham, if you're out there watching, I hope that's not offensive to you. It's just that I'll be saying your name a lot in this episode. Anyway, and Jeffrey Chun. They had played the illustrious 1973 Ngarua Wahia Music Festival. However, Jeff went on to become the drummer for Split Enz. Joke's on him though, because Split Enz would only achieve international stardom, whereas the band that the other 2 went on to form would achieve a small burst of local success. Take that, Jeff. That band, not Split Enz, but the other one, was called Waves, as we've established. And they coalesced organically out of a small group of musician friends, a scene, if you will. I love a good scene. The final lineup, final of sorts, included David Marshall and Michael Matthews. They started out playing these small folk clubs, but eventually began playing these larger theaters and the Auckland Town Hall, which is a lot bigger than it sounds. Basically, they began to amass a local following, which is kind of impressive when you think about it, because Auckland, again, is really not that big. There are only so many venues that you can play at. You've got a very small pool of potential audience members. For them to have been able to play multiple venues regularly and still have a following, or to have increased their following, that's pretty solid. Good work, guys. At the time, New Zealand was forming this very testosterone-heavy pub song music culture, and it would really blow up by the late 70s, early 80s. But Waves deliberately avoided the pub circuit. They wanted their music to be listened to, not just heard. In Gigi's words, they wanted something to drink to, not think to, so we needed venues where the intricacies of our music would be heard. So this band has 3 strong songwriters, 3 guitarists, 1 bassist, vocal harmony, these very intricate interweaving guitar parts. And in 1975, they record their eponymous debut. In 5 days, after having rehearsed the hell out of it, they send it out into the world in October of 1975, and it actually sells pretty damn well. It reaches the top 10 on the New Zealand album charts, and it becomes actually one of the biggest selling albums by a New Zealand artist in New Zealand for the decade. It's 1976 now. They re-enter the studio. They are ready to record a sophomore album.
The slow dancers are out on the floor.
And they have label backing to do it because the first one was a success, and record labels are exploitative sharks. If they see something that's going to make money, they'll go after it. And that's exactly what happened. I love the follow-up album. I think it takes everything they achieved here, but makes it a little bit more sophisticated, a little jazzier, a bit heavier. However, they've finished the recording, they're just about to start mixing, and the head of the label comes in and goes, I don't really like that. Wipe the lot. Record over the tapes. Unfortunately, the head of the studio was able to fire off a couple of quick mixes for the band members before he was made to wipe everything they'd just been working on. Now, I get the tape was precious, but I'm absolutely furious that that happened. I think it serves as a fantastic reminder of the damage that commodifying art can do to the works themselves. Right? Like, with little warning, all of the love and the care and the time that had gone into making this really good album is just deleted. Almost completely deleted. If it hadn't been for that studio head, there wouldn't be anything left of it. Gigi says of this, we'd worked hard, it deserved better. Maybe we just weren't tough enough. Certainly after a few good blows to the head, you start to wonder what it's all for. The second album being wiped just prior to the mix broke our hearts. A few years ago, of those rough mixes, he says, that's the only record we have of our endeavors, an entire album's worth of work. Just gone. All you need is an important person with an important title and money behind it to just nix it all. Gone. Like, all in the name of capitalism. Shame. So how do I know this album? Well, in 2012, the band was approached by a man named Roger Marbeck, who's a big music person in the local industry, and a music archivist called Grant Galander. Different Gigi. We're not going to call him Gigi. This is the only time that he appears in the story anyway. They were actually coming to see whether they could remaster and re-release the original debut, because at this stage it had become a rare collector's item and it was very expensive. So clearly there was some demand for it. They didn't know that there was a second album after they found out the deal was done. But they discovered that the master tapes of this album had disappeared. However, the drama, Gigi still had a handful, quote, stashed under his bed for the last 38 years. And it is from those final, unopened, mint copies that they were able to digitize and remaster the record for a vinyl re-release. The cover art was revamped, and voila! This is what my copy is. They digitized the second album from a single tape that they had of the unmixed tracks. They mix them, they release this heretofore unheard mystery album from 1977 as a double CD package with the debut. They perform a sold-out gig at local music institution Real Groovy Records, which is the store where I get almost all of my records. It was a great success. Hooray! And that's the story of Waves. Now let's have a listen to the music, shall we? I only have the first album of the reissue on vinyl, so that's the one that we're going to be listening to. But the second album is available on streaming platforms, and it's called Misfit, or Waves/Misfit. But yeah, if you search for Waves Misfit, you should be able to find it. And it's like this, but as I said, jazzier and heavier. Here we go. Our opening track is called Clockhouse Shuffle. I think it's so sparkly. It's clear that there are all of these guitars in the mix.
Watching the night flash its sad life catalog.
There's this catchy bass that comes in after the verse, doubled by one of the acoustic guitars. And then bam, we've got these soaring 3-part vocals on the line. You know, it shits me working for the man. I mean, yep. This is the bit where it shits them.
You know it shits me.
Working for the man.
Working for the man.
Reminds me a lot of America's debut album. It's also a good piece of music. So that's Clockhouse Shuffle. Track 2 is called Worn Out Rocker. Got that really groovy verse.
Have you seen the worn-out rocker?
And then...
So he told her he surrendered.
Isn't that lovely? Obviously, very reminiscent of Crosby, Stills, Nash there. But I don't think it's derivative. I think it does stand on its own. Track 3 is a song called Thoughts from Venus. It's got these gentle high vocals, very pretty guitar accompaniment. It's just a well-constructed song.
They wandered all the drunken night away.
Also, it has a flute solo. Tasteful. The fourth track is called Water Lady Song. This is one that was released as a single. And like a lot of the others, it feels like the song was written around a dedicated guitar part, which I think could be a standalone piece. It is that complete. This one in particular reminds me of Buckingham Nicks. I especially love the subtle use of harmonics on the guitar. Track 5 is called Letters. It's got this sort of sultry mood to it, which I enjoy.
It would be so nice to see you here.
Beautiful harmony there. It's very sort of helplessly hoping. And it has a clarinet solo towards the end. Flutes and clarinets. What more could you ask for? The last song on side 1 might be my favorite. It's called The Dolphin Song.
See, I've got more time.
It is just littered with major 7th chords. Which, I mean, who doesn't love a major 7th? It does feel like a dolphin. In as much as music can feel like... Of course music can feel like dolphins. What am I saying?
Sail boats on the water.
I love how well this album works even without a drummer. No offense to drummers, but like, it works. It's a lilting waltz, it's kind of jaunty. Let's drop the needle on side 2. Opening track on side 2 is called Arrow, and it doesn't sound like Buckingham Nicks so much as Bob Welch era Fleetwood Mac, which directly preceded Buckingham Nicks era Fleetwood Mac. Let's have a listen.
Lift your silver wings up into the air.
I think that's a lovely melody. And then in the second part of the verse there's an unusual note that you wouldn't necessarily expect.
You don't really care where they take you.
Care instead of care.
You don't really care.
subtle, but ooh, it's pretty. I love that song because I think it anticipates the direction that they're going in for the next album. You know, it's got drums and electric guitar. Anyway, the next track is called Ocean, and it's another one of those gorgeous guitar compositions. Also got this very ethereal, echoey guitar in the background. I can't quite tell if it's a slide or if they're just using a volume pedal on it, but in any case, it's really nice. God, those chords. Chord girly at heart. This one steals mine away. I know it's corny, but like I do genuinely feel that way. Ugh. Let's move on. Number 8 is a track called Eloise. This one's got a little bit of funk to it. It's got a groove. It's also got a very catchy melody.
Eloise was a lady.
God, like, you can hear that they're well rehearsed.
She was chasing a dream.
The fact that they got this whole thing down in 5 days really gives you a sense of their musicianship and their skill, because this music is immaculately produced, immaculately arranged. Everything has its place. We've got breaks in the song, we've got stabs, like they're just pulling out all the stops. Beautifully made. The next track reminds me a little bit of Neil Young in the verse, not so much in the chorus. It's called At the Beach. It's got a very slow meditative opening, and then it picks up after that first verse and turns into a gorgeous chorus.
Oh, when you come around, it's as though my hands were tied.
I guess it wasn't really a chorus so much as just an instrumental break. The next track is called Waitress. I have no notes. It's just a really solid song.
Over there.
And then we have this, stunning harmony right before our outro to the song, which is a canon, a vocal canon.
On Judgment Day.
I take that back. It's a call and response, but it's still perfectly lovely. Finally, we close on a track called Castle Gates, which is like this acoustic bluesy track. Acoustic, they're all acoustic, but it's a bluesy track.
Well, I'm on my own, babe.
It takes the blues chord format and subverts it just slightly.
And I don't know why, but I
Before bringing us back to the home chord.
think I'll try it again.
Oh yeah, that's right, we recognize this. It's a blues. Solid way to... how come everyone doesn't know this record, right? It's stunning. It's so well written and made, and we almost didn't have it. Well, at least I almost didn't have it because I wouldn't be able to afford the original pressing. I'd like to extend my thanks to Grant Galander and Roger Marbeck, because so many of us would never have heard this album if they hadn't digitized it. Big ups to them. I hope you find this record. I hope you love this record. I hope it becomes a part of the fabric of your existence, because you deserve it. You deserve nice things. That's it from me. If you enjoyed this episode or you would like to support any of the weird things that I do, I will leave a link in the description to my Buy Me a Coffee page, where you are most welcome to make a donation if you wish. No pressure, my friends. Thank you so very much to everybody who has made a donation or signed up as a member. I really appreciate you. You helped to make this all possible, so congratulations for sponsoring today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're curious about what any of my original music sounds like, I will leave a link to that in the description as well. Otherwise, thanks for hanging out with me. I'll see you here next week. And I'm pretty sure we're going to be covering the first song of the White Album next week. So, be sure to check that out. If you want to. If you don't want to, then I'm not going to make you. But if you do want to see it, I'll see you here next week. Have a great weekend! Let's listen to that side B again while we clean up. I suppose that's not strictly 2 degrees of separation, but I'm sure my dad knew people who knew them. So 3 to... Never mind. Love that line. It's me working for the man. I think it shits us all, really. They released their eponymous no. And in 1975, they record their eponymous anemone. Damn it. Their eponymous, Jesus Christ. And in 1975, they released their eponymous debut. Damn it. Recorded. And in 1975, bumped the mic that time, they released their eponymous no, Jesus Christ. They recorded their eponymous debut. There we go. Nope, I said that all wrong.